Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a Conquest video looking at Sector 4 of Conquest 19, SM-33's Conquest. We're going to break down those feats, how efficient we were, which squads that we utilized, our Datadisks selection during the sector, and how we tackled the boss nodes. After Sector 4, our global feats are actually in a pretty good position. Even though we haven't completed any new ones, we have made a good amount of progress. With Bad Batch almost completed, only 2 more battles there. Critical damage down, I made it a progress of about 13 or so, and then the light side unlined force users, a couple in there. So incremental progress, and we're getting closer. And Sector 4 is actually a really good sector to work on a number of these globals. And not because there's overlap, but because this is a really easy sector where you're actually able to complete 3 out of 4 of these with almost no effort. I was done with those 3 right around the middle boss, leaving half the sector to work on globals or to work on this final feat here with Batcher surviving. Now, my original plan during the overview was to just ignore that one until later while I was farming for Datacrons, because he was going to be low in stamina from Sector 3 and I wanted him to recover stamina for Sector 5, and I didn't do that. I stubbornly tried to get those, but because he was low on stamina, he was easy to take out. I wasn't going to forfeit a node, so I'd win it with low stars. That's why you see a lot of 2 out of 3s in here. We'd win the node anyway and just deplete his stamina further, making it worse for the next time. But that's an issue that should be made far easier in the next iterations of this conquest, because he will be fully farmed probably within 3 or 4 weeks. We're pretty close. We're almost to 6 stars, and then we will have him at Relics for that final appearance of this conquest. So getting a 4 out of 4 in a single playthrough of this sector would be very achievable in the future. In the overview video, I was anticipating leaning on these 3 squads for this sector, and I only really used 2 of them, and one of them basically handled 2 of the feats with no effort. In 2 or 3 nodes, I was done with Deathmark using Jar Jar Binks, and he is required. His basic ability applies Deathmark with a 1/3 chance, and he also on his unique ability can grant bonus turns. It's a very small chance though, but I was done with bonus turns in the same amount of time as Deathmark, so maybe it happened a little bit more reliably, or the shield generator also gets bonus turns. Maybe it was counting that, or some of the other mechanics were contributing, because I thought bonus turn with the Gungans, they were going to make progress, they weren't going to complete it, but they did, and I was impressed. Now, tenacity down, I did not complete with the Gungans. Raise the shield applies an AoE tenacity down, but I only got about a quarter or a third of the way done with tenacity down before I was just done using the Gungans, because we had completed 2 of the feats. I was anticipating using the Sith for Deathmark, and I never really needed to. Plus, my Vader was so depleted on stamina that this wasn't a good squad to use, because Vader we leaned on during Sector 3. I did utilize this squad a little bit if I hit like troopers or an assist heavy squad where I wanted fear to shut them down and the other squads weren't doing as well, or I used them in the later half of the sector to work on global feats, because Bastil Shan Fallen is a great option for globals because she applies an AoE stagger and an AoE crit damage down. The Deathmark here though is only from Darth Revan on the basic. There's also tenacity down from Malik, but those are single applied to targets, so they're going to be slower going. So Gungans will be a better option if you have them. Now the Jedi, they're not going to help out with Deathmark, but this was a squad that I did utilize to knock out tenacity down very quickly. Now, not too many Jedi apply tenacity down. JML has a targeted tenacity down with They Grow Beyond, but the bigger character here is Jocastu. Now, I know not everybody has Jocastu, but if you have her, she applies tenacity down both on her unique ability, which randomly gives it to somebody, but if you attack somebody who has tenacity down with her basic, it AoE applies tenacity down. So this was very fast in knocking out the rest of the feat. But that is also not going to be available to everyone. Not everyone's going to have Jar Jar. So if you don't have those characters, another good option is going to be JML lead. Now you might need to do this with Watt if you don't have Voluntary Vanguard. I don't have Voluntary Vanguard, so Watt is necessary for me, but you can take out one of these characters. If you're done with bonus turn, you can take out Yoda and you can throw in Captain Rex, because Captain Rex has an AoE tenacity down with his suppressing fire ability, and he will be a good addition to this squad, which can also help out with Batcher surviving. But as I've shown, that works a whole lot better if your Batcher has higher stamina than mine did. Datadisks, I didn't make any changes. We don't really have a solid synergy with these, but we have a good collection of strong discs that I've been pretty happy with. Ruthless Debilitation with the healing immunity and armor shred, pairing that with caustic emissions and amplify agony. That's starting to build out a solid combo, but from there it kind of turns into a little bit of a mess. The last one I'm really happy with is Assertive Command, but that doesn't have the best synergy with this set. That one just calls a random ally to assist when you use a basic. In terms of the choices, at the first fork, on the top node we have Solid Intel, Quickening, and Assertive Command, but I already have a blue Solid Intel and I have a blue Assertive Command, so those aren't necessary. And down below we have either Caustic Emissions or junk that I already have, so we're not looking at any of those. In this case I grabbed that Quickening, something I didn't have. It's 1 dot, I can fit that into a set. There's the potential for certain turn meter combos that you could build. I don't really have a full set of them, but I have parts of them. At the crossroads, nothing good here. We already have opportunistic support. Nothing good in the center as well. We already have protection shield. But the bottom node, this was interesting. The voluntary vanguard, though, I think is what I should have grabbed. I didn't. We have a disc that I haven't seen before with Cleanse, where whenever an ally scores a critical hit, they're going to dispel. Interesting. What I don't like about it, though, is it depends on the enemy that you're going up against. Applies debuffs, which is not universal. And then we have a blue savior. I might have a green savior, but a blue savior, that's definitely what we're going to grab. It's either going to upgrade on a disc that we already have in the set, or it is going to just be the best possible out of here. Although that voluntary vanguard would have been helpful, and I am kind of regretting skipping it. At the next fork, Ruthless Offense, Amplify Agony with a weak spot, a power, critical buffs. I have a blue power, I'm pretty sure. I grabbed weak spot because it's the one that I thought maybe we could build like an offense stacking set, but that's one that I'm probably not going to use. At the boss node, we have 2 blues, but we have both of them. Power, I'm pretty sure I have a blue one. I grabbed the Ruthless Offense. We can stack it if I need to. It's only 1 dot. We can fit that in somewhere. And at the start of Sector 5, we have a blue Amplify Agony. I already have one. I have a green Amplify Agony too, but when you see blue Amplify Agonies, you grab them. The boss nodes in the middle, we have Terrifying Attackers, Darth Vader and Lord Vader surviving. That one's easy. And Lightsaber Architect win with Huyang surviving. We're going to start with that one because it's going to be a little bit more worth talking about. In this one, now I do have Ahsoka, but not everyone does, so that's not exactly going to be helpful. I did test out seeing if I could beat it with General Syndulla lead, and that did not work. But this will, your standard, just hide the character who needs to survive under a JML team. This does perfectly well, and this should help out far more players than showing any footage with Ahsoka. Now you don't have to have Yoda, and I probably shouldn't have. Jedi Knight Luke, though, is helpful because of his AoE stun. We breach everybody. We do have that tenacity down that could contribute. Spreading some buffs. We're going to put the offense tech over on Yoda because I was trying to feed him a little bit more turn meter. We have JML tanking. And he goes down, taking out 5s as quickly as possible. And we do knock him out quickly. Get the bonus turn from Yoda. And knock out Rex before he becomes a threat. Put the health tech onto Huyang to aid in his survivability. And then we're just wearing gas down again. Quickly take out Echo. So while not an ideal team with Huyang, perfectly adequate for accomplishing this feat. For Terrifying Attackers with Lord Vader and Vader surviving, you can see how weak my Darth Vader was for this sector and why I didn't really utilize him. So I threw in Royal Guard and Third Sister in there to hopefully protect him and he's available for bonus turns, but I was already done with that feat by the time we hit this node. But Lord Vader is a GL, and he's going to handle this encounter without really any issue. And you're going to see Royal Guard and Third Sister prove their worth in being here. I wanted a pre-taunt, I wanted an easily triggered taunt. Consider trying to get that bonus attack, but I don't want to accidentally take out a different clone and cause the 5 sacrifice. I could have just used that ability now that I think about it, though, to the middle ability on 5s to finish him off. Spreading the bonus turns is not really doing anything except cycling through cooldowns. Now I've got a Relic 5 Royal Guard. Not the best, but he's doing okay. And you know, I put it off long enough where I no longer need to add relics to Royal Guard, because he's just not going to be part of the team anymore. And we got that Tarkin rework yesterday. You know what? I should take a look and see. I wonder if it has any viability with other Empire characters. Now for the Sector 4 final boss, we have defeat an enemy with Jocastu, not available to everybody, and win with a full squad of Bad Batch. Now I did attempt this with both the OG Bad Batch and the new Fugitive Bad Batch squad. Both of those did not work for me, although my OG Bad Batch were depleted on stamina, so maybe it'll be possible when they have max stamina, or if I use different consumables with them, but that's something I'm going to be trying later. It also may not be possible for me during this conquest because my new Bad Batch aren't ready, so it might be one that we do in the future, and it's probably going to be one of the feats we skip this time around. Now with defeat an enemy with Jocastu, if you have her, I did give it a go with Kelleran lead. That got crushed. Instead, what will probably be your best bet is just do a JML lead again. And here we were depleted in stamina because I was using her a little bit throughout the sector for the tenacity down, but I switched up the squad, threw in Jolie just in case we lost somebody. But even if a different squad helps, whenever you have to defeat an enemy with a specific Jedi character, a JML lead is always going to be your best bet because of how he can call assist with extra damage. And in this case, this handles this node no problem. They go off first, but I am a little slower from having used these characters and their stamina being lower. But we have Jedi Knight Luke here for that stun. A Dispel from CONQUEST, focusing down on the Grand Inquisitor when I can. Try to give a little bit of protection to JML, that's why I called him there. And now it's a matter of calling in Jocastu with those assists when I can. So I'm hitting 5th because he had protection. I wanted him to survive the hit. Use Jolie to call the assist. And here, calling Jocastu with the assist again to make sure we have it. That takes care of Sector 4. Sector 5 coming up very soon. We're almost done with that sector, just waiting for stamina to refresh before we knock it out. We've got overview up in the corner to give you a preliminary look at how I'm tackling Sector 5 while you wait. And then down below, Datacrons, a summary of what my targets are, how I'm tiering them out as we transition from working on the feats to working on Datacrons for week 2. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.